Imagine a heavy stone door, buried for thousands of years, untouched by human hands, yet whispering secrets of civilizations long gone. Archaeologists stumbled upon it in a remote site, perfectly preserved, yet no one dares to open it. What could be behind such a door? Why would trained scientists, accustomed to probing the unknown, choose inaction over discovery? This is not just a physical threshold. It's a window into the human psyche, collective history, and the paradoxical nature of knowledge itself. Doors, in every culture, represent transition, known to unknown, safety to risk, life to potential death. But the decision to leave a door closed, especially one discovered through careful excavation, is rarely about superstition. It is about the intersection of psychology, societal dynamics, and evolutionary imperatives embedded deep within our neural circuitry. To understand why these archaeologists refuse to open this door, we must consider the human brain as a complex adaptive system. Our neural networks evolved to balance curiosity with caution, weighing rewards of exploration against existential threats novelty might bring. Our brains act as a safety regulator, continuously calculating risk and benefit, not just for ourselves, but collectively for our communities. Ancient societies externalized this internal calculus. Rituals, taboos, and sacred prohibitions were not arbitrary. They served as early warning systems, ensuring potentially destructive forces were approached with deliberation. When archaeologists encounter a sealed door, they are not just facing stone and mortar. They are confronting layers of historical decision-making. The door becomes a symbol, a node in a network where human perception, fear, and cultural memory converge. From a neuroscientific perspective, encountering an untouched archaeological structure activates the uncertainty stress response. Similar to the fight or flight reaction, this triggers a cascade of neural activity, particularly in regions assessing threats and making decisions. Even highly trained scientists are not immune. Our evolutionary heritage embeds caution at the core of our cognitive machinery. What we often perceive as hesitation is actually a sophisticated form of risk management, a mental firewall developed over millennia. Beyond the individual brain, there is a collective layer at play. Archaeological sites are not isolated. They exist within communities of researchers, stakeholders, and cultural custodians. Decisions about interaction with these sites are filtered through consensus-building processes, ethical frameworks, and institutional regulations. The choice to refrain from opening a door is as much a social phenomenon as it is an individual psychological event. It reflects the understanding that history itself is delicate and that each action has ripples through time. From an anthropological lens, doors and thresholds often embody liminality. Liminal spaces are neither here nor there. They occupy a psychological and symbolic threshold where normal rules of reality may not apply. Ancient civilizations frequently constructed these thresholds intentionally, embedding objects, inscriptions, or symbolic guardians. These are not superstitions but deliberate cognitive strategies, ways in which societies encoded knowledge about risk. What fascinates modern observers is how these strategies resonate with our present-day decision-making. The act of not opening a door mirrors the adaptive behavior of our ancestors, highlighting a continuity between caution and preservation. As we contemplate this sealed door, it is worth reflecting on the philosophical implications of inaction. In Western thought, knowledge has often been equated with power. To know is to control, to uncover is to dominate. Yet, in many Eastern and indigenous frameworks, wisdom is found in restraint. The archaeologist's refusal, then, is not ignorance or fear. It is a sophisticated alignment of modern scientific rigor with ancient epistemology of caution. History, in this sense, becomes a mirror reflecting both our capacities and our limitations. The door also prompts a meditation on the human perception of time and consequence. Our species is uniquely aware of temporal scales, capable of imagining events millennia into the past or future. When faced with artifacts untouched for thousands of years, the brain experiences a temporal dissonance. We understand the immediate physical risk, but we also sense the cumulative consequences of actions across centuries. Opening the door could yield knowledge, but it could also obliterate fragile historical contexts, erase irreplaceable data, or provoke conflicts. Every act of exploration carries a dual legacy, a promise of insight and a risk of irreversible change. This duality is mirrored in neuroscience, where predictive coding explains how our brains continuously model the environment to anticipate outcomes. When predictive models encounter anomalies like an ancient sealed door, they generate heightened attention and uncertainty signals. The decision to act or refrain is the output of a networked system optimizing for long-term survival and minimal harm. On a societal level, the door becomes a metaphor for the collective unconscious. Carl Jung theorized that archetypal symbols, such as doors, carry embedded psychological patterns that transcend individual experience. The archaeologist's hesitation resonates with these archetypes, suggesting the collective human psyche retains ancestral strategies for managing uncertainty. In practical terms, this manifests as a shared recognition of risk, a tacit agreement that some knowledge is best approached with patience. Throughout history, we see numerous parallels. The tombs of Egypt were sealed not merely to protect material wealth, but to maintain social equilibrium. The crypts and temples of Mesoamerica often remained closed for centuries, signaling both reverence and caution. Even in medieval Europe, certain manuscripts were locked away in monasteries, accessible only to those who had undergone rigorous training. Across time and geography, the decision to withhold immediate access reflects a universal pattern. Human societies balance curiosity with preservation. Modern archaeology inherits this legacy. Scientific protocols now mandate risk assessment, ethical review, and multidisciplinary collaboration. The sealed door, therefore, is not an anomaly but a continuation of historical practices, an intersection where ancient wisdom meets contemporary science. What is striking is how this principle challenges our intuitive notions of progress. We often equate discovery with advancement. Yet the door forces a reconsideration. Sometimes refraining from action is itself a form of intelligence, a meta-strategy that protects both the past and future. It suggests that wisdom is not merely accumulation of data, but the cultivation of judgment, patience, and ethical foresight. This dynamic also has profound implications for collective behavior. Societies function as networks of energy and information. Decisions are transmitted, amplified, and sometimes constrained by shared norms. The archaeologist's restraint can be seen as a signal in this network. It conveys caution, models ethical reasoning, and establishes a precedent. Just as neurons modulate the activity of a larger system, individual decisions reverberate through communities. Yet when we choose inaction strategically, we paradoxically gain control. By not opening the door, archaeologists preserve the integrity of the site, safeguard historical knowledge, and maintain ethical authority. In essence, perceived weakness or hesitation transforms into strength, illustrating that power is sometimes found in subtlety rather than overt action. The sealed door further illuminates the interplay between individual cognition and historical contingency. Every archaeological decision is embedded within a matrix of temporal, social, and material constraints. Understanding the door requires seeing it as a node in a larger network of cause and effect, a snapshot of decision-making frozen in stone and earth. Its presence challenges linear narratives of history, reminding us that knowledge is not only discovered but negotiated, contingent upon context, culture, and cognition. Philosophically, the door invites reflection on limits. Human beings are conditioned to push boundaries. Yet there are domains where restraint is more adaptive than exploration. Neuroplasticity allows our brains to learn from delayed action, while social structures reinforce norms that preserve collective well-being. The interplay between these mechanisms suggests that some mysteries are intentionally persistent, not to frustrate curiosity but to cultivate respect for complexity. From a practical standpoint, leaving the door closed is also a form of preservation. Archaeological sites are finite, non-renewable repositories of human experience. Every excavation risks introducing contamination, decay, or interpretive bias. By exercising patience and methodological discipline, researchers honor both the physical site and the historical record it embodies. The door thus serves as a nexus where ethics, psychology, and science converge. It is a testament to the adaptive sophistication of human cognition, a reminder that sometimes knowing when not to act is as important as knowing what to do. In reflecting on this phenomenon, one cannot ignore the metaphorical resonance with our own lives. Each of us faces thresholds, decisions, and moments of uncertainty. We instinctively weigh risk, consult social norms, and sometimes defer action to preserve outcomes over time. The archaeologist's choice mirrors this personal and collective wisdom, illustrating how historical practice, cognitive architecture, and ethical reasoning coalesce in moments of pause. Could it be that the door, rather than representing a barrier, is actually a teacher? Its silence communicates more than any artifact or inscription. It speaks to the limits of perception, the balance of curiosity and caution, and the elegance of restraint as a cognitive and social strategy. In leaving it unopened, humanity preserves not just a physical site, but a philosophical lesson. That knowledge is not always a reward for action, and that sometimes the greatest insights emerge from observation, patience, and reflection. As we stand before this metaphorical threshold, several questions arise. How do we calibrate the tension between exploration and preservation? What does our response reveal about the structure of human cognition and society? And most intriguingly, could the decision to leave the door closed ultimately safeguard more knowledge than opening it ever could? These inquiries extend beyond archaeology, touching neuroscience, philosophy, ethics, and the very nature of human progress. The sealed door thus becomes a mirror reflecting our collective intelligence, a node in the network of history where individual, social, and evolutionary imperatives intersect. Each stone, each layer of earth, each deliberate choice contributes to a narrative that transcends time, reminding us that inaction, when informed by wisdom, can be a form of profound insight. Ultimately, the story of this door is not about fear, superstition, or missed opportunity. It is about the interplay between curiosity and caution, knowledge and preservation, individual cognition, and collective memory. It illuminates the adaptive genius of our species, demonstrating that evolution has equipped us not only to act decisively, but also to wait, reflect, and respect the intricate tapestry of human experience. In this sense, the archaeologist's restraint is both a continuation of historical tradition and a reflection of contemporary scientific integrity. The door teaches us that limits exist not to constrain us, but to guide us. That wisdom often lies in balance, and that the most enduring knowledge is safeguarded as much by patience as by discovery. So as you imagine this sealed threshold, consider the invisible forces at play: the neural circuits regulating risk, the social frameworks shaping decision, the historical contingencies encoding caution. Recognize that inaction, far from weakness, is often an adaptive triumph, a signal of sophisticated cognition and ethical discernment. In leaving the door unopened, humanity preserves the past, safeguards the future, and models a profound principle: that the pursuit of knowledge is not merely about conquest, but about understanding, respect, and timing. And now, I leave you with a question to ponder. What doors in your own life remain closed, and what might be gained by respecting the threshold rather than forcing it open? Consider how curiosity, caution, and collective wisdom interact in your decisions, and reflect on the hidden lessons history offers when we pause and observe rather than act impulsively. If this exploration into the hidden dynamics of history, psychology, and human behavior resonated with you, take a moment to share your thoughts in the comments below. Like this video if it sparked your curiosity, and subscribe to Past Lens for more journeys into the intersections of civilization, cognition, and time. The past is full of sealed doors, both literal and metaphorical. Sometimes the greatest stories are not those we uncover, but those we choose to approach with reverence and care.